Hi, I'm James Lott Jr. Welcome to another edition of Extra Connection Special. I am James Lott Jr. And I am going to show you a clip from my guest today, Faruq Tauheed, his new series. That's an amazing new series that I like called Roots Less Traveled on NBC. It's on the weekends. Go check your local listings. But I'm going to show you a scene from that. It's a really quick scene. And then we're going to come back and talk to him about that, race, family ties, what it was like for him to go to Africa. It was about my family stuff. He's an amazing young man who has such charisma. And he also does the Battlebots series as the ringmaster for that show. And he's an amazing guy. And I can't wait for you guys to meet him and talk to him. So stay tuned. We're going to watch a little clip and we'll be right back with that.
Beautiful way of honoring our ancestors and people who passed away, and that meant something for us. Very old tradition. I think you'll enjoy it a lot.
I think learning about family history can influence one's culture because a lot of times we have stories that are being handed down to us, and it could be myth, it could be legend, or it could be true facts. But I think by doing the research and going through your ancestry, you get to learn what that is. And a lot of us may not come from where we think we do.
Being able to share this with my big brother has just been amazing, and it's really helped bond us together.
Hello there, we are back. This is Extra Connection Special. I am James Lott Jr., of course, and I have a great guest who some of you may know from, because my friend Marissa used to work on this show behind the scenes, Battlebots. She did that last year for a while, and I was like, what's Battlebots? I actually watched it. It was kind of funny. Use all your comic skills on there. But he has a new show that's through NBC called Roots Less Traveled, and as you saw the clip, it's a very interesting journey, and we're going to talk about that and what that means. It premiered April 4th, and it's out, and we're going to talk some Pennsylvania stuff and all kinds to know him. Faruq Tauheed. How you doing, Faruq?
Hey, what's happening, man, James? Thanks for having me. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, you come off the screen. Like you just come right off. I love it. I'm telling you, you have it. It comes right
I
off.
appreciate it. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. It takes a lot of people to believe in you and to help, let you know those types of things so you can, kind of have the confidence in yourself. So I truly appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm in. Okay, so now research travel. We're going to talk about that for a second. But first, have you ever taken the Ancestry.com kit? Anything? Have you ever taken the 1, 2, 3? Have you ever taken any of those?
Yeah, I did the Ancestry DNA.
Okay.
I did that. I think they ran a special or something. It was like 2 for 1. So me and my wife did it. I want to say we did it a couple years ago. We got our information back, and it literally just kind of pinned the regions around where they thought we were from. And at the time, I think something about the DNA and genealogy and family history stuff, it's evolving over time, right? So back then they had, me, a lot of my heritage was kind of in West Africa, a little part of West and South Africa, like Tonga and some of those places like that. But they recently did an update and it changed dramatically. Like now, like over 50% of my DNA is connected still to the West African region, but specifically Nigeria. And so that was pretty cool to find out and to get.
So 11 years ago, National Geographic started those test kits, and they were, at a time, it was only your mother's side. It was tracking your mother's side. It didn't have all the markers for both sides yet. And so I did it. I was one of the test subjects. My friends did it. And it was interesting because mine was all to the Congo.
Okay.
Congo. 2 years ago, I was in an Uber in LA, and a guy kept looking at me, my driver looked at me in the mirror, and I was dressed up, so I work in television, so I was dressed doing a hosting gig or something. He kept saying, I go, is there something wrong? Like, what's going on? Like, you're going to murder me? What's going on? He was like, are you from the Congo? And I go, how funny you would say that. He goes, I'm from the Congo. You look like one of our preachers, our pastors there, our fathers there. The way I was dressed, I guess, my deep voice, I had a full goatee in, which I'm growing back. I had no head, shaved head, looked very different than I did now. I thought that, I told him the whole story. I said, that's so funny you would say that. I've never been there, first of all, so I have no idea if I fit right in, I guess. But he's like, you look like one of our fathers of the village or where I'm from. I'm like, okay, sure, maybe I am from there, I guess, at some point.
Right.
But
and what did that do to you, though? Like, because I know for me, I visited Africa. I went to Egypt. Was one of the first places I went, and there were a lot of people there who told me that I looked like I was from there. And that it did a couple things for me, because my name being Faruq, I was actually named after the last king of Egypt. So going there kind of had a little special moment. But for me, when I heard that, you know, it's kind of like what our show Roots Less Travel does. When you find out about this history and you get people that from where they say you're from, validating you and what you look like it kind of makes you feel kind of at home and kind of at peace, and gives you some validity, I guess, on this planet. So I was just interested in what you felt when he told you that.
You should be a host. Good question to be a host. Be a host. Crazy.
You know what? That's what I will say though. That's one of the things that's hard about being interviewed as a host, is that because I now, as we're talking and having a conversation, now I want to ask the questions. Like, you know what I mean?
My job easy. Don't trust me. It makes my job easy. Because I'm like, when I get interviewed too, I'm like, so I just sit here, James, right? You don't have to look at the clock. You don't have to do this. You have to just sit here and answer their questions. But I love it. I mean, please, makes my job way easier. But no, for me, it was a weird sense of like, I belong somewhere. It was really weird. Like, I felt warm all of a sudden. Like, okay. And you said I was one of the elder statesmen. I was like, I felt like I was Mr. Big Shot.
Right.
But also a surprise, but that was like a weird, surprising thing, because I took the test like 10 years earlier. I was like, oh, that's really funny. But here's what I'll tell you. So my family's from the Caribbean, from the West Indies, and so I've been to the Caribbean many times. But when I finally went to not Barbados, was it Barbados? I kept thinking, okay, here I'm in the Dutch Antilles in the West Indies. My family is from here. I'm going to go and feel right in. Right. I look like none of them. A lot of them, that's the slave trade, triangle trade was through there. A lot of them were dark with the slender noses. They still had, and they didn't look like, I didn't look anything like them. I go to Dominican Republic. I'm not Dominican. Go to Dominican Republic. I fit right. But it's like I had to go through customs. They didn't want to let me out. They thought I speak Spanish too. They thought I belonged there. I'm like, no, I'm not trying to leave the country to leave. I'm leaving because I don't live here.
Wow.
So I told my mother going, it's weird. So I had the opposite effect. I went to a place where we're from. I didn't look like them. But I went to a place I'm not from. I fit right in. So it was a weird, I'm not trying to cuss on the show, weird mind F. It was like,
right.
Maybe a little G-rate on here. But it's weird. So I was looking for that, what you were saying. I was looking to go, I'm going, I saw the island where my family's from, St. Eustatius. I'm going to be validated. And I already knew that they were very much, they're still kind of British. They're still kind of Dutch, whatever, down there. So all their first names are like O'Neill and Wentworth. Those are first names, all kind of stuff. So I knew that part, but I thought I might look like them. I would see, even though in the Caribbean, I still feel at home because the majority of folks in the Caribbean are brown. There's something to be said of that, where your leadership is brown, people who wait on you are brown, the drivers are brown. I mean, yeah, some white folks there, but it was like, it felt, I will say, there is something to be said about that when you're surrounded. I'm sure when you went to Africa, I'm sure you felt, these brown, even in Egypt, my daughter's Egyptian, she's darker than I am. I mean, it's like, I'm sure you felt like, you did feel probably at home, didn't you, when you went?
Yeah, exactly. And like, for me, like, I have my countries in Africa that I want to visit first, definitely Kenya, South Africa, and now it's like Nigeria, because they do, because my Ancestry DNA is telling me that, 50%, over 50% of my makeup is from that area. So now I'm like, now Nigeria is on top of the list, even though it wasn't on the top of the list before, it is now.
Yeah, I want to go to Mother Africa. I do. I feel like once I step foot on the soil. So I had a guest on my show, a friend of mine now, Nzinga Stewart. She's a famous female TV director. And that's not her original name. She had a different name, very Americanized name. She said she went to West Africa, and I want to say it was Senegal, somewhere over there in West Africa. And she saw where the slaves were sold. And so there's a famous line at this one beach or whatever. And it's like, this is the point where they lost their name and became something else. So it was very powerful. And I told her, I've seen the entry points in the Caribbean. I've been to certain islands where the entry points became, so another powerful thing too. But she said she changed her name to an African name because she felt so strong. She felt our ancestors losing their identity. And she kept thinking, I'm not going to be, I think her name was Stacy, so I can't remember what her name was, or something just, regular benign name.
Right.
That she was like, I'm going to change it even though I'm in this business where you don't want anybody having some, this, a name that's not like James. She was like, I don't care. She goes, I want to honor my ancestry by taking one of their names and saying, you know what, I'm going to cross that line and get back the name. I cried like a baby when she told me the story. I was like, oh my God, big grown black man crying, because I just felt like that's powerful. That's powerful.
Yeah, I had a powerful experience very similar to that, just in the context of what you're talking about when we were doing Roots Let's Travel. A couple weeks ago, the episode aired with Cherie and Devon. Sorry. And we took them, the African American mother and son, we took them to Tennessee, where their family was from. And we went to the Tennessee Supreme Court, where they had a judiciary museum that was set up by one of the judges there. And their family's court case was all in there. And one of the things, I went in there early and I got to go in there and they had an original receipt from a selling of an enslaved person, and I broke down.
Yeah.
I broke down, like, just reading it and seeing, like, I was boo-hoo, like, I need a minute.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it would have had that impact on me. So it was just, again, like, powerful. It's crazy stuff.
People, we forget sometimes we have a past that I think everyone should know about. Regardless of your race, you should know your culture, you should know what your past is. But I would just go for black folks, because we're both black.
Right.
That we should not forget, it was not that long ago when we were property. And I tell people all the time, I was born in the 60s. I was born during the civil rights struggle. I was a kid in the early 70s going through desegregation. It didn't work. I grew up in the 80s where I still could get fired for being black. There were certain jobs I didn't get because I was black, or certain promotions. So for me, I know it, because I know it. I mean, it's not lost on me. But I feel like this show is a great idea for people to see, just going back and learning about your past and how it really can inform who you are today in a great way, of course, and just going to really teach you. How'd you get involved in this project? How did it come in your orbit?
It's one of those things, man. It's my career is so different. Hasn't been cookie cutter by any means.
I like that.
This job falls right into that play. I did not audition for it.
Oh.
I did not know about the show. All I knew was my agent was like, "Hey, you're on avail for this show," and he probably told me this probably 6 months prior. I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'm on avail for the show. All right, whatever." He's like, "I don't have any details." I'm like, "All right, whatever." So long story short, I just get a call one day from my agent. It's like, "All right, you booked the show." I was like, "What show?"
Okay, great. I'm glad. Like,
whatever. And when he told me about the show and I heard all about it, I had another moment where I just kind of like was in awe, because I was going through that time in my life where I'm like, all right, what's my purpose? What am I here for? What am I doing this for? And I woke up with a word one day, and I said, for the family. And I told my wife, I was like, you know what? I think I figured out what my purpose is. I want to do content. I want to be involved content that is around and for the family. Another show I do, Battlebots, I get a lot of comments from fans saying, look, this is the only time our family comes together during the week. Our family loves getting together for the week to watch this show. And I was like, you know what? That's what it is, for the family. That's what I want to do. And I promise you, a week later, I got the call that I booked this show, Roots Let's Travel. That's about taking two family members that are distant for one reason or another, whether it's generationally or distance across the country, and we bring them together and help them research their family history. And I don't think there's anything more powerful than learning and knowing your family history, as you said, because it can give you purpose and give you some identity as to who you are and why you made the decisions in your life. So, that's how I found out about the job. I didn't know about it. And there's another little rumor going around that between the casting director and the production company, they have been looking for a show for me for a year. And so that's one of the things I would tell people, like, whenever you think like you're going through something, you just don't know what's working behind the doors. You don't know who's working on your behalf, who's championing for you. And I'm reminded of that image where you see the guy digging for gold, and we can tell that he's so close, but then he gives up because he's been digging so long, and he turns around. Just keep digging, y'all. Keep digging.
Because somebody else will walk up did 2 digs and get the gold.
Right. Hit 2 shots and strike gold. Exactly. Exactly.
No, it's true. It's patience in this business. A lot of patience. You said
Indeed.
some stuff that's very important. I think I personally believe that's divine intervention. So that to me, somebody not on earth,
Amen,
named God,
yes, sir.
heard you and said, okay, he's asking for purpose. I'm going to give it to him. And I believe a lot of my jobs, the same here. My life is not a cookie cutter either. My career, I've been in a career 13 years. I've had all kind of things go on that were just great stepping stones to where I'm at today. And that's what's happening for you. He heard you. He said, okay, you want purpose? You want purpose? I'm going to give you purpose.
Right.
They did. Also, I always say this thing that my ancestry, I carry them on my shoulders, but they're not heavy. They're my wings.
Mm-hmm.
I say that all the time, and I do. And I came from some hardworking folks. And I know you did too. I mean, we came from some folks who went through stuff. I almost cussed my own show. Went through some S.
Right.
I know I could. My stepfather.
Went through some ish.
Yeah. That they go through. Now I have a stepfather who's 84 years old, and again, no wrinkles. We did that before the show. No wrinkles. From South Carolina, and he told me, he goes, "Yeah, I used to have to pick cotton in the morning before I went to school." I was like, "Really?" And I've seen, folks, if you have been to a cotton field, it is not fun. I mean, I'm just telling you. It made me when I went to a cotton field finally, I was like, "Oh, now I get it. How rough it must have been." And in the summer when there's humidity in the South.
Right.
I was like, I mean, it gave me more appreciation. But just hearing him, he's alive, and he was a cop for years, Navy. But he said before school, he'd get up at 4 a.m, pick cotton till about 7, then go to school.
Wow.
I'm like, I see why you are who you are now. I see why you're a hard worker. You get it. I get it. I totally get it. I get it. I get it. So I was like, I don't know. But for you, I think what's interesting is that you have a name that's not a common name. It's not a sole name. Has that gotten in the way of any of your gigs, you think?
I'll never know. I'll never know if it has. And I mean, I think that's one of the beauties of it. I remember when I first moved to LA, I was going by all 3 names, which is my first name, my middle name, my last name, Faruq Tauheed Jenkins.
Okay.
And then, I got involved with a manager who's like, "Oh, you probably should shorten it, just go with 2 of the names." And so I ended up going with Faruq Tauheed. And now, I got to a point where I was like, all right, I want to go back. But I was like, nah, I already done so much. And like trying to change it would be just too much work. So I'm cool with Faruq Tauheed. I was born Muslim.
Okay.
And named after my father's Muslim name, which is Faruq, and is also named after the last king of Egypt. And Faruq means one who can distinguish truth from falsehood. So in other words, I can tell if you're lying. And then right. And then Tauheed is all knowing of God or Allah. So so I just decided to stick with those 2 names. I do feel like there's a shift in the industry where we do have a lot more people with more eclectic names and more ethnic names. And so, the mainstream, I think, is catching on to that. And so it really doesn't matter so much more. But I'll never know if I missed out on any jobs. I did though constantly get called for voiceover jobs because of my name. People thought I spoke Arabic.
Oh, how funny! Because he has done voice work, folks. So I didn't.
Seeing my name, that is one way it's impacted. But like I said, I'll never know if I've lost any jobs or even gotten any jobs for that matter. It could work that way too.
It's funny because I think of people like Chewy Tel Ejiofor or Gugu Mbatha-Raw. I mean, all these names that they're all, Tandy Nunag, they have these names that are not common, and they're all part, African or Muslim names, things they have. So I thought, so your management never told you like you should be Frank. They never told you that. It says you should be Frank Jenkins.
Yeah, no, they never tried this. My manager was also black when I first moved. Okay, so that was probably part of the help of it. Yeah. Because who knows? I'm sure I have heard stories where people try to get the ethnic names changed out. Just make it more simple for people to read or easy for people to read. Because it's just like growing up in school. Even when I go to auditions, it's like they go to read the names, and when they go to read the name, and they're like, I'm like, that's me, Faruq. Yes, this is me. You don't got to worry about butchering it. It's okay. You know what I mean? But yeah, so
Actually, I have actually a serious question for you that I don't know. I don't know how old you were when this happened, but how has it been for you since 9/11? Because the name itself, I mean, it's I mean,
right. I think the first couple years, I really didn't. I just moved to LA when 9/11 happened. That was September, and I moved to LA at the very end of May that same year. So for me, I was just moving out here to LA, spent all my money doing that. So I was kind of stationary in LA for a couple of years, so I wasn't really traveling that much. I think the name, while the name may have, I don't know, put some red flags up on some systems or whatever here or there. I think when I showed up, maybe it took some of it off. I did feel one time when I was traveling, though, that I may have been profiled, but they said it was random, so who knows?
And it could be because you're black. It could be because of this.
Right.
I mean, I'm a black man, so I've got pulled over for things just because of that. So I mean, it could be anything, you know. I'm just curious. That's interesting. But I love seeing. I mean, I love my name, but I mean, it's just they don't know what they're getting when they don't see me. I come in, they're like, oh, I've gotten okay.
Right.
That's like, you thought I was white. I know what's going on. James Lott Jr. That doesn't sound like that. I get it. I'm all Ronnie Lott, 49ers, my cousin. Football. Now, Ruth Says Travel is very interesting because you do this kind of special. So for you, you say you just mentioned how you went to, pre-show, you went to one of the places and took a look. How has it informed you as a person in terms of your past of doing this show?
I think it's just like a lot what you said about, the ancestors that are on our backs or on our shoulders. We're standing on their shoulders. I always, when I look at, I'm doing Ancestry, and I've done a lot of my family tree stuff. And when I look back and see how far I've been able to go, and I look at the family tree, and, a lot of times we look at it from a horizontal way where it looks like all the legs are filtering out that way. But, it's a family tree, right? So when I turn it up that way, it's the roots that kind of dig down. And when I look up, and my picture is the one on top, I think very much like you in the sense that now I can look and actually have a visualization of whose backs and shoulders I'm actually standing on. When you flip it vertically like that, it's just so powerful. For me, I've learned just how important it is, just based on the decisions we make in our lives, our identities, our purpose, how important it is to know where you come from. It's like that old word in African proverb, Sankofa, like knowing where you come from so you know where you're going. And if you got that information, it can really be powerful. And I've not become more of a champion for knowing your family history since doing Roots Let's Travel than I am now.
How many episodes are they airing, the show?
8 episodes. So 7 episodes with 7 different pairs of family members. And then we have like another cut, like a best ofs, some of the things that didn't make the episode, but we decided to put it in that. So we got 8 episodes.
So this is a different type of hosting because I said I watched you on BattleBots, and I said my girl Marissa worked on there for a while last year, I guess, with you guys in production.
Yeah, I knew Marissa. When you said that name, I was like, yeah, cool.
Little Filipino girl. She's good. She's good.
Shout out. Yeah,
shout out to Marissa Serafini. I watched the show, and you're literally a ringmaster. I mean, this is like, it's a whole different kind of hosting. I mean, you're like commanding the audience. You're telling jokes. I mean, you're like saying funny things. You're egging people on. So first of all, how much fun is it to do that show, BattleBots?
It is so much fun. It is the most fun I've had doing a show because I get to go there and I just get to show up and just be myself 100%. And when I say be myself 100%, that means I can be as loud as I want, as soft as I want, as crazy as I want, as mean as I want. Like, I get to do whatever it is that I want to do. And the writers on the show, man, writing those intros for me is like, it's like when you get that job, we all, I think in the entertainment industry, whether you're in front of the camera, mainly in front of the camera, like for actors and stuff like that, you look for that role that fits you to a T. And for me, that's BattleBots. Being a ring announcer and BattleBots, like it fits me to a T. The writers, they don't limit me at all. They don't even know if I can do accents or if I know these references or whatever. They just give them to me and I make them work. And I love it, man. It's the best fun I've had.
Good question. So So I was going to ask you kind of some little behind the scenes stuff. So whatever you can give away, of course. So you show up. So you have writers. You do have writers to do all the intros. How much are you writing? Are you improving? What's going on?
So we do have writers that a team of writers that's writing for the whole show. And let me tell you, they work hard. Those men and women work hard. I'm talking about. It's been times where they might get 2 hours of sleep a night once we're really rolling in the thick of it. And that's why I'm glad the show only shoots like 2.5 weeks, because if it went any longer, those writers would we would have to bring in new writers every 2 weeks, so they would get burned out. Yeah. But I look at it like this. The writers are like the doctor for Frankenstein, and I'm the electricity. So they put the body together, and I bring it to life. So when I get an introduction, whatever, I might know the reference, might not, but a lot of times I can honestly tell you 90% of it is improv, if not 100%, because there are times when I go into the Battlebots before I do the announcement, and I don't even know what I'm going to say or do.
Wow.
Then there are times where I do know what I'm going to say or do, so I'll let the cameraman know. Like one of my favorite intros from last season, I was introducing a robot called Tantrum. And I actually was like, you know what I'm going to do? I said, you know what? I didn't tell anybody. And that's the other thing. I don't tell anybody what I'm going to do when I go in there.
Oh, okay.
No one knows.
Okay.
And so I went in there and I just told the cameraman that follows me, I said, look, when I get to this certain point, just follow me. Be ready, because I'm going to run around. And I literally threw a tantrum like a 4-year-old in a toy store inside the Battlebots for one of my intros, and the people loved it. Everybody loved it. So getting to do that kind of stuff, man, it's super awesome.
I'm sure you feed off the crowd. I'm sure that just
100%. The fans, they're the best fans. They're loud. They fly from all over the country now to come see us live. And so, fans out there that was rated for our 5th season, please, hopefully, you'll be able to get the time off, because we're gonna be back this year once this COVID-19 season is over. And the fans are the best, man. I've done a lot of live events in my hosting career, and I always say that I feed off the fans. When the fans are really, really, really hyped, and I don't have to do that much, it makes my job that much easier, and I can flow. But sometimes you get tough crowds, and you really got to, and that's when I really got to put my work in. But I managed to always turn them around, so it's always good.
With you, I'm not surprised. Because obviously I'm a host too, and I've done live events. I just feel like some of the key ingredients, anybody watching this wants to be a host, some of the key ingredients is being present where you are, and reading the room.
Absolutely.
You have to read the room. And that's what you said. You may have some crowds may be a little sleepier than others. Some crowds may need you to really rile them up to get them going. And some are even super rowdy already. I calm them down. Like it's all kind of things that go on in crowds. And when I'm doing a live thing, it's like you have to know the audience and work with that. So do you have a lot of improv experience, or do you just
all my improv experiences come from just me working. Like I said, doing like a lot of live events, and just being around and doing commercials and things like that. I have, over the last year or so, been trying to take an improv class, but with my schedule, it's just I haven't been able to really work one in, because a lot of them require a 10 to 12 week commitment, and I might be working for 3 weeks and then off for 3 weeks, so it just it's been tough. But yeah, I definitely want to get even better with the improv stuff.
Brother Man's working. Anybody that's working, we applaud, because this business ain't easy. I was going to ask you, how do you stay motivated in this business? I mean, how does it keep you not, because I feel like this business is set for us to fail all the time. There's always these little roadblocks that come up. They're like, go down, get back down there. You have to keep getting back up. How do you stay in it?
I gotta say, the 3 things that came to my mind as you were asking that question. I think number 1, my son. I got a 13-year-old son. He lives in Maui.
13.
Yeah, 13. So yeah, so just having him in my life has been most major motivation, just to keep going, be present, just keep, showing up, working hard and all that. My wife is in the industry as well, so she keeps me sharp. She believes in me probably more than I believe in myself. So she pushes me a lot. And then I would say lastly is just gotta be just to not take things personal in this industry. When I don't book a job or do book a job, I don't ever take it personal as far as it's all about me, or, I did this wrong or that wrong, man. I've seen people not get jobs just because of the type of watch they have on. You know what I'm
Or
saying?
the babysitter, you know, that was the babysitter of so and so that's actually casting the movie, so they get it. You know, it could
Absolutely. Like, especially when it comes down, oh, I can't pick between these two. Well, this one, I like this one's born in July, so let's go with him because I'm born in July too. Like, yeah, so it's stuff like that. So
subjective.
Those are three things I think that just keep me going. Not taking nothing personal, and then my wife and my son, my family.
What's your son's name?
My son's name is Silas Jahi Yasin.
All righty. Well, I like the name Silas. That's a strong name.
Yeah, indeed.
I like that. There she is. So here's a question for you. We're talking about ancestry and everything. If you have a son, I have 2 daughters. I didn't have sons. I have grandsons now, but I had daughters, and that's a whole different realm. But for you as a black man today, you have this young black man growing up. What does being a man mean to you?
You know, it's crazy because being a man is one thing, and then being a black man is another thing. In this country, anyway, I think being a man is really encompassing everything. Nowadays, you gotta be strong, but at the same time, you gotta be vulnerable as well. You gotta be able to communicate. We don't live in that world anymore where it's, you know, gender specific roles or gender specific jobs for people. Everybody is learning that they have the power and the capacity to do everything just equal. So in being a man, I just want to teach my son to live honestly, with integrity, and just to be accountable, if not to himself, then to God. And that for me is really about, I think if you encompass those things, the integrity, the honesty, the hard work, and being accountable to God, I think that will get you to do everything else in the world. Because you're not gonna abandon your kids, or you're not gonna abandon your wife, or, you know, cheat on your spouse. So you're not gonna do these things because you got the integrity, you got the accountability, you got the honesty. Now as a black man, that's something totally different. It's tough because, like I said, he lives in Hawaii. He grew up in Hawaii, and it's a very different culture over there. They're very family oriented over there. You know, they really live by and preach Ohana, which means family.
Yes.
You know, and it took me some time to acclimate to it because over here in the States, it's a different ball game. So I don't know if he comes across any types of racial profiling thing as a 13-year-old. And I came across something very, very interesting just the other day, just being a black man in this country. And I don't know if you've done this, James, but you should do it. I Googled 4 teenagers and then clicked on images. And then the images that come up, you see 4 white teenagers. They're all happy, joking, loving each other, boom, 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 boom. And then you Google 4 black teenagers and you get mugshots. And that, to me, you know, I really try to be optimistic about race in this country and about where we stand as a people and how far we come. But like, even when you just Google that, like for me, that was a reality check. Like, yo, I'm still a black man in this country. I still know how I'm viewed, no matter what jobs I'm getting, who's adoring me, who's following me, who's this, who's that. My son actually is biracial. His mom is white. So, you know, as a black man in this country, man, it's tough. I just want to teach him to just, you know, again, I think if you live with those same principles, the honesty, the integrity, and be accountable to God, you know, I pray that everything else will fall into place. So I know people that have lived like that and still succumb to just being black in this country. So
I'm gonna actually, I wrote it down. I'm gonna actually do that. That's very
man.
That's actually very powerful.
This weekend.
It's very powerful, actually. So I'm gonna do that. Just brief for me, I just know that, like I said, I'm in my 50s, and I just a couple of years ago, I have a lot of friends in business who are like, well, I don't know that this happens to black people. Well, it happens to somebody else, and they should have done this and that. And I was in West Hollywood at a 7-Eleven, and I had a SWAT team put rifles on me. Nobody else. I was the only black person in the store.
Yeah.
They all came to me in the middle of the day on a Sunday, rifle on my head, rifle over here, rifle on my back, as they searched the store, and it was a silent alarm went off.
Right.
But they didn't ask everybody else to turn around. And my white friend was there. Another host was there and saw it. And it wasn't even, I didn't have to say anything. They went and told everybody, okay, now I've seen that this happens. Like, it was like, for some reason, no one wanted to believe it. But like, we know James Lott Jr. didn't do anything. Like, they know me. It's like, you know who I am.
Yeah.
That was clearly a color-based decision. And that reminded me at 50-something years old going, wait a minute, I guess I'm still black. You know, it was terrifying. And I mean, I had a whole other story. And that wasn't the first time, obviously. Unfortunately, that wasn't the first time it happened to me. So, I mean, but it happened in a long time in Los Angeles, in a nicer part of town, on a Sunday. You know, I just had some mimosas. I just had brunch or whatever. Like, I was feeling good. I was at 7-Eleven just to get a cherry pie, and I know I should have had a cherry pie in the first place. I can hear my doctor going, James, should I get that cherry pie?
Exactly, right. If you ain't go after that cherry pie, you wouldn't have right.
Exactly. It's like, I want that Hostess cherry pie. That's what I went in there for. And I just want to buy my cherry pie. That's all I wanted.
But at the same time, that's the kind of thing that makes me a little bit emotional, because at the same time, you could have went for that cherry pie, and while you came out with a positive experience, by that I mean you're still alive. There are people that walked into the situation, went in for a cherry pie, and didn't make it out under those same type of instances. So, you know, I'm looking forward and kind of not looking forward to spending that time with my son and be able to sit there and talk about that, because we haven't had the conversation about being a black man yet. I'm still trying to just let him be a kid. You know what I'm saying? There
is that too. That's a weird thing too. And only people of color think about this. We want our kids to be kids as long as they can be. And unfortunately, the world, now we're in this weird time period, especially with the corona thing going on. But the world is starting to encroach on our kids now. And I have a 13-year-old grandson who won't be graduating from middle school. He'll be promoted, but there's no graduation.
Right.
And it's a weird feeling for him. And it's like this, and you want them to be kids. You want them just to have a good time as long. Trust me, adulthood will come soon enough, and you'll see all the stuff in the world.
Exactly.
Kids. You want them as kind of the kids. Did you always know you want to be a performer? Was that just something, were you always performing at home with your family or someone you were a kid, or what was that? See that big smile, come on, what's going on?
Because the smile is coming because I always think about it, like I don't know how it happened. Like when you were talking about before about, you know, just the divine intervention of it all. So I got into it because I was in 8th grade. We talking about 13-year-olds, that's around that time, middle school. I was in 8th grade on my way to high school, and for my 8th grade year, my mom wanted to get me off the streets of Philadelphia. Again, I'm getting to that age now where, like, you know, growing up in the hood, you know,
the choice.
So she decided to try to get me off the streets and sent me to Freedom Theater, which was like a historical black theater school in Philadelphia. And they sent, and I trained there. She's like, look, if you don't like it, you don't have to go back. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm coming up on my summertime right before high school. I said, Mom, I don't like it. I don't want to go back. I tried out for 2 basketball teams, made them both. I'm like, that's what I'm doing this summer. Great. But my mom, being crafty as she was, went behind my back, applied for a scholarship to that school for the summer, for Freedom Theater for the summer. I got it, so I didn't have to pay anything. So she said, put the basketball down. That's where you're going. Pick up those tights. You're going to Freedom Theater. I was like, Mom, I want to go. Shorten the story up a bit, I ended up going to high school for acting right after that. I stayed in Freedom Theater for a few more years, went to college for it. So I guess it was just destined for me to do it. I always go back to a story that my babysitter told me. He said my babysitter told me, she said that they took me to a play when I was like 3 or 4 years old. And I sat still and watched the entire thing the whole time.
At 3 or 4 years old? That's
3 or 4 years old. Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, when you see that kind of thing, it's like my son. I don't know if he's going to be a basketball player or not. He's going to be rather tall. But I remember when he was younger, he picked up a basketball and started shooting it, acting like he was shooting a basketball. And he was born during football season. So I never really, and I'm a big football fan. I wasn't really into basketball like that. But he picked up the ball and started doing it himself, acting like he was shooting free throws. He didn't have a ball. He didn't have a net, but he just picked up something to act like he was shooting free throws. And I was like, yo, where did he get this from? Yeah. I went out and bought him one of those little tight basketball nets right away.
I heard those. Yeah.
So you know, you I guess you show it in your age as you're growing up. You know, you show things to your family members, and mom knows best.
Okay, you should always know that. First of all, women know best. We should always just know that.
right. That intuition.
Mine's so smoother. I tell women all the time, yes, whatever you say.
Yes.
I don't want to be in trouble. Okay, so you are a Philadelphian.
Yep.
We have a lot of famous people from Jill Scott to Will Smith, everybody, and a lot of Philadelphians. I've been in Philadelphia. I talked about that before the show. What is one thing from Philadelphia that you brought with you to LA?
I mean, aside from my love for the Philadelphia Eagles, I gotta just.
Besides that.
Yeah, you know, I mean, if you look behind me, that's all my Eagles stuff.
Yeah, look at I'm like, besides
even the love sign. You know, I'm a proud Philadelphian.
I know you.
I always tell people, if there's one thing I want you to know about me, the first thing I want you to know about me is know that I'm from Philly. So when you ask me what do I bring from Philly with me, I bring Philly with me everywhere I go.
I like
Whether it's the food, whether it's the way I talk,
the music.
a lot of times when doing the hosting stuff, I got to clean certain words up, like red. I'll have to say red, or instead of saying toilet, in Philadelphia we say toilet. So little things like that we gotta clean up. You know what I mean? But other than that, man, I bring Philly with me. I feel like I bleed Philadelphia. Philadelphia has made me who I am. The toughness of it, and it wasn't the easiest life for me in Philadelphia, but it made me who I am. And that's, like I said, one of the things I tell people all the time. One thing you know about me, just know first I'm from Philly.
Like that. And I think I've never asked this question for anybody. Is Philadelphia considered East Coast? I think it is, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Philadelphia's East Coast for sure, hands down. And that's one of the things that's different too about East Coast and West Coast. East Coast, for me, people are very real. And I don't mean like real, like, people out here are real too. They all come from places, but just the hey, I'm gonna link up with you. If I say I'm gonna link up with you, we're gonna link up. We're on the East Coast. Out here, if I say I'm gonna link up with you, we're gonna get coffee. It's a 10%, 20% chance that might happen. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean. But yeah, Philly is definitely East Coast.
Okay, my mother, they're from New York. So I grew up going to New York almost every summer. We all went out all the time. So, and of course, I'm from Pennsylvania, from Pittsburgh, the western side.
Right.
I like the East Coast because people always think I'm East Coast because the way I'm very just direct, just very honest. And my grandmother was always so funny. I go back to see her, and she'd be like, "Wow, you got fat. Here's all the food I made for you that you like, and you better eat it." It was like, and my friends were like, "I'm like, she's saying, it's just that's how they are." Like, I never took offense by it. It didn't hurt my self-esteem. She said it with, she loved me to death. She loved, and if I brought anybody of my friends there, I'm like, if I say you're my good friend, they will take you in. They will feed you. They'll give you a place to stay. They'll take you around. Like, they will give you alcohol. They will take care of you. I mean, you are in. If I say you're in, then they will just take you in. You may hear a lot of stuff. You may hear some shit talk to you. I'm not just saying it, but it's kind of like this thing where I love that. I love that. It's just that we're loud. We're honest. You mentioned being loud. I'm loud. We're loud. I got a big voice. I got a deep voice.
Yeah.
My mom has a big voice and deep voice. We all have a big. I love that. It's just like it's. I'm going to talk about you a little bit, but when you need me, I'm right there.
Absolutely.
That's just about the West Coast. Not so much. Not so much. It's not. It's a little bit of the whole crabs in the barrel mentality happening with black folks out here a little bit.
Yeah.
I got some black friends. But it's like.
I had a friend one time that I was helping like move out here, and she was talking to me, hit me up, where should I live, this, that, and third, boom, boom. We was talking weeks up to the week she was about to move out here, and then found out she moved out here. She didn't even tell me she moved out here, and then once she moved out here, we ain't talked the whole time she was out here. Yeah. I'm like, I don't understand what happens when people cross. I don't know, it's like people cross the Missouri River or something. As soon as people go past the St. Louis Arch, like something just it's like a warp, a time warp. Something happens, you just change. I don't get it. I'm talking about literally people that I grew up with. Like if we was on the East Coast, we still family. But out here, I don't know what happens, man. It's all good though. I've learned and I live and I move on.
It's so. I'm laughing. It's true. Also, it's very true. I don't understand. Right. Faruq, you are the bomb, and I'm saying this to you when we can start seeing people again. We're gonna have coffee.
Indeed.
I mean it. God bless America. I mean it. I swear on my flag cup. We're gonna have coffee one of these days.
There you go.
In person, both in LA. Thanks for being on the show. Thanks so much.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me. It's a lot of fun. I really, really appreciate talking to you.
You are the man. You have I'm telling you, you have it. You have it. Tell folks where they can find you on social media and find your shows and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. You can find me on all social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, where I'm most active. They're all at faruqadelphia. So that's Faruq, my first name, Faruq, last part of Philadelphia, Adelphia. See how it works? Told you, I'll take it everywhere I go. So yeah, you can follow me there. And then also check us out until we get that 5th season of Battlebots. Yes. We'll be back on Discovery with that. But right now, please watch Roots Less Travel, NBC, on the weekends. Check your local listings because times vary across the country. But yeah, just keep checking it out. And I hope you guys enjoying the show.
And you can find me where all James Lott Juniors are sold, at James Lott Jr. and all social media platforms everywhere. Just across, I made it very easy for you. And I'm on TikTok too, so follow me there. I'm like a TikTok star.
I might be on TikTok.
I don't know why. I'm an old man on there. I have a good time though. I'm a good time. And of course, this show is everywhere too. You can find it on Facebook, Extra Connection Show. We're also on all streaming services. So for those of you guys listening to this, hello, podcast listener, you can follow it on Apple Podcasts, Deezer, iHeartRadio, Spotify, everywhere. Like, subscribe, comment, be so kind, and follow me and follow us and follow him. And then of course, it's on my YouTube channel, JLJ Media. Everyone, please, I know it's a strange time period. Laugh a little and try to stay sane.